Your Honor, you have been the Lieutenant Governor now for 3 years?
2 years.
2 years?
Two and a bit.
And the term is how long?
Not less than 5 years, meaning that constitutionally it doesn't end before September 5th, 2012. Typically, Lieutenant Governor's terms can be extended if there are circumstances that warrant it, but that typically is about 6 months to a year.
So you're 2 years in. How do you feel about this? Are you enjoying this?
Oh, absolutely. There's nothing not to enjoy. It is an amazing experience. As a political science graduate, as someone who's been a political junkie all of my life, and a student of Canadian politics, and especially Ontario politics, I thought I had a very good grasp of what the protocol was going to be all about. And I calculated it would be about 18 inches deep. And it was within a matter of a couple of days that I realized it was about 18 feet deep, but in a positive way, not a negative.
Yeah. Now, I was surprised to learn in a former conversation that no law is passed in Ontario without your signature on it. No provincial law.
That's correct.
That gives you an awful lot of clout.
It does. There have only been a handful of circumstances in all of Canadian history where either the Governor General or the Lieutenant Governor has not signed a document. And there have been interesting constitutional challenges and circumstances that accrued as a result. So it is an instrument of last resort, if you will, to withhold the signature. And I certainly don't anticipate there'd ever be a circumstance, and there certainly has not been in Ontario in modern times. But there's a very significant aspect about this ability to withhold the signature. And that is that ultimately the Lieutenant Governor, and on the national scale the Governor General, is the guardian of the democratic process. And I think it's one of the aspects of our parliamentary democracy and the reality of the vice-regal position that it makes our system qualitatively superior to other systems. Because what it means is that we think of our rights and our freedoms and the Bill of Rights and our constitutional freedoms as somewhat abstract things. We don't think on a daily basis about freedom of speech and freedom of assembly, and we probably should. But what's really significant is that it means that our system, our leaders, the people that we elect, we go to the polls and we elect as provincial premiers or the federal prime minister, these people collectively, no matter how much they want to be in power, voluntarily submit themselves to the authority of an appointed person who is, in a sense, is the referee when it comes to these matters. And I think it is something that speaks well about our system and makes it better than the others. And we've certainly seen abuses in other countries.
Oh, sure, absolutely. But speaking of abuses, has it ever happened, in your knowledge, that a Lieutenant Governor has been approached by someone trying to influence their decision to sign a document?
Not that I'm aware of.
No. And if that were to happen, you'd resist it totally.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's get a little biographical here for a little while. You would not have expected,
no,
in your lifetime that you would become the Lieutenant Governor of Ontario.
Not at all.
You were a broadcaster.
Yes.
And also a novelist, and we'll talk about that book in a minute. But how many years were you in broadcasting?
My first radio engagement was as a part-time broadcaster, once-a-week reports for CFRB Radio. I did a science and technology report for a Sunday afternoon news magazine. And that led to a position with the no longer functioning CKO radio network in a similar capacity. And it was a short time after that that the president of City TV at the time, Moses Neimer, had seen me hosting an event with 2 astronauts at the Ontario Science Centre. And there was something that he saw in my emceeing abilities, and I didn't realize it at the time, but he told me later that he made up his mind that the first time there was an opportunity to try to hire me, he would. And I know, I wish I'd known it at the time, because things were kind of grim at the radio station, and it shortly went out of business a short time afterwards. So, but it was about a year and a half later, in the fall of 1984, that I got a phone call out of the blue, late on a Friday afternoon, from his executive assistant wanting to know if I would come over. Now, coincidentally, a good friend of mine and I had put together a proposal for him about a science and space TV weekly report. And we put it in a bright red folder and submitted it to him. And it's now 10 days later, and I thought, great, this is what I'm going to meet him about. And I got to the doorway of his office on this rainy November afternoon, and the first thing he said, didn't even say hello. He just said, "Our weatherman has left us." And I happened to glance over at the inbox, which was about 2 feet deep, and way down near the bottom of the inbox was this bright red folder. And it was one of those moments of flashing reality where I thought, he's about to offer me the position of weatherman, and he has not seen any of these proposals, and certainly hasn't seen mine. And my answer is yes. Now, how do I pretend I'm coy? Because I really wanted to get into television.
So you started as a weatherman?
I started as a weatherman at City TV, and just a week or two before Christmas 1984, and continued on at City TV until the Prime Minister's announcement in July of 2007.
I dare say you're one of the few lieutenant governors in Canada who was already a public figure. I mean,
yes.
Ontarians know you so well and have known you for many years. It's also known that you had polio as a child.
Yes.
And we're going to talk about your vision for the disabled here in a moment, but tell us about your personal story and polio. When did it strike you, and how has it played such a critical role in your life?
I contracted polio at the age of 3 and a couple of months. It was basically Labor Day, 1953. And of course, it was at the time where summertime polio outbreaks throughout North America were common and dreaded. In fact, as you start to read some of the histories, it's almost impossible to believe what the dread level was throughout the society at the time. But I contracted it, and I was paralyzed from the neck down. So it was obviously the defining moment in my very young life. Now, my mother, who had a very mild case of polio as a young woman in a non-paralytic way, realized from the outset, just realized immediately what the symptoms were. And so she was confronting that reality.